Things are getting steamy in the DPS, and quite frankly, I'm all here for it.
This Diamond TV presenter search is not for the weak, because there are a lot of things that need to be done.
Who do you think has what it takes to make it all the way to become the next Diamond? But hold that thought, because things can dramatically change in this competition.
And Lehman, be very careful. This is serious business for us. We're not joking here. Take us very seriously. We're not your cousins.
Do I think it was fair? You can be direct about it.
In this episode, the contestants are split into groups and are to tackle topics that are picked randomly.
Contestants, each team must come up with content that we will distribute on our Facebook page, TikTok account, X account, and for TV. This content must explain the following topics. Team 1. You must explain what has happened in Malawi with their vice president. You must further explain what the future will be for a country whose vice president has died and a vice president who was elected into office. Explain the situation and what the future holds in different formats for Facebook, TikTok, X, and television. Your pieces for TV will be a filler of 5 minutes, and you will decide the length of your Facebook and TikTok video, as well as X. And I will not say video for Facebook, but I will say you will decide the format of the content. For TV, the piece must be 5 minutes. And you will decide the format of the content for Facebook, TikTok, and X.
So the assignment that Costa and Jonah gave us, specifically our team, the assignment was to talk about the mining sector, how it's been in the past 5 years, the present and the future. And I feel like the assignment needs a lot of research and commitment. As for my teammates, what do I think about my teammates? I feel like, I don't know what to say. I can't really talk about them much. They're okay. I just hope we get to work well together.
At the time of filming, these topics were the trending current affairs stories, and we wanted to see just how well the contestants present them to the viewer. Contestants, break a leg.
I would say my best moments have been the few times that we've had mentorship with Jonah. I think just him bringing us together and guiding us through what is expected of us and how to go about when you're in the media industry has to be like one of the best moments. And of course, the people that we got to meet, you know, it's too soon to say we became family, but yeah, I have met very great people and I consider that to be one of the very best moments of this entire journey.
Coming up, can the contestants make it past the kings of current affairs? The contestants have their work cut out for them. They have to provide nothing less than perfect if they're to secure their spot in the next round. First up is Mark, Bukata and Blessings. Their task? To evaluate Zambia's mining sector in the last 5 years. With emphasis on teamwork, they are to make presentations that are tailored for TV, Facebook, TikTok and X. Let's see how they have done.
Good evening and thank you so much for making time to join us on Beneath the Earth. I am your host, Blessings Mulenga. Today on the program, we dive into mining in Zambia, covering how it's been performing in the last 5 years, where we are as a mining sector and what we hope to see in the near future.
Thank you, Blessings. Currently, Zambia's mining sector is undergoing transformations guided by policy reforms, strategic investments, and exploration activities. Just this year, mining company International Holding Resources acquired 51% stake in Mopani Mines, which is one of Zambia's largest copper production sites.
Yes, Mark, and the mining company will provide $300 million capital to boost production at the mine to 200 metric tons within the next 3 to 4 years as a part of the deal.
Let's rewind a little bit. The mining sector, contributing about 12% to Zambia's GDP, saw a decline in production due to new mining taxes that also affected investment in the sector. Another big blow hit the mining sector as Zambia was one of the many countries affected by the COVID-19 in the year 2020, with so much coming to hold, took about workers being laid off, looking out for their health, also resulting in low production.
Oh hi, my name is Mark Mulenga Simkanga, and I'm about to tell you guys about the Zambian mining industry in under 3 minutes. So 5 years ago, Zambia was ranked 7th in copper production. It contributed to 4% of the world's copper production. But aside from copper production, we were the #1 leading producers of gemstones, but emeralds to be specific, and we contributed 20% to the world's emeralds production. But then COVID-19 happened.
So basically, there wasn't teamwork in my team. It was that type of thing we had split the responsibilities. I got X, Blessings got Facebook, and Mark got TikTok. So basically, when we're doing those things, it was no, you do your own thing because it's individual brilliance, like Costa said in like the previous episode. And I feel like there was no teamwork there. Even during research, I only had to research for the future because that's what I was given. Yeah, so the teamwork sucked. It really sucked, yeah.
I've got some feedback and a couple of questions. The first video for TV, I was taken a bit aback because all three of the presenters were just reading a paper. I think it was below or above the camera. No assimilation of the content whatsoever. Just, you know, parroting what was being read over there. And speaking of parroting, some of the sources of that content that you were reading were not reliable sources. And I could tell from the way the information was being shared. Like, for example, when Bukata started talking about the president, I could read that was from a blog because it went on to talk about it was sort of portraying a positive picture from the president's perspective. I don't know where you got that information from, but generally there was no proper sources that were cited from you guys, because one of the things I said needed to be followed was to pick content from people with the authority to give the content. And just parroting content from online, you risk parroting propaganda. In Mark's video, in his TikTok video, he said that there was exploration in the northwestern side of the country by Anglo-American. Blessing said that it was in the western side. And this is one team that is developing content to feed the people. So which one is it? And then the last piece on X. I don't know if you thought it wouldn't be visible, but it's clearly got a lot of AI written all over it. From the way that the top line is placed, to the way the conclusion is placed, it's just AI all over its face. And it's very easy for us to check that, because we could just turn it in and check if AI wrote it, and it will say that it did. It will give a percentage of how much of it was written by it and how much of it was written by you. And for me, that's also something very critical, because apart from the fact that you can tell that it's written by AI, also by the misinformation, because AI is not accurate. It doesn't have accurate information of countries like Zambia.
That was feedback, questions, and lectures from the judges. Up next, Rachel, Matakala, and Taona. Their assignment, debt restructuring.
First and foremost, we had to sit down and brainstorm on the 4 different platforms that we're going to be using, because we understand that the target audience is different. You have X, that is more of professional people that are keen on news. Then you have Facebook. I think we had this conversation, those people, the audience there are termed to be the less serious people, so we needed to find ways in which we can package the content, but it was important that the message is cut across all the 4 different platforms. We also had to be very, very careful how we came up with TikTok, because we realized that the demographic on that platform is young people. They have short attention span, and also they like things that are fun and hip. So we made sure that we first of all had to prioritize how we're going to be able to just tailor the content around those platforms. Then we also had to think really hard on what we're going to put on TV for 5 minutes, to come up with a story that we could tell in 5 minutes. I think that is where we had a little bit of a challenge, but I hope that what we have tells the story well.
As the energy crisis persists, with increasing load shedding, the kwacha still performing badly against the dollar, and ultimately the Zambian economy struggling with rising commodity prices, many people are calling on the government to complete the debt restructuring deal. But is this Zambia's only way out of all of this? What is the debt restructuring deal? And what does it mean for Zambia? Hold that thought. Let's break it down together. Some of Zambia's creditors have come on board and agreed with Zambia's pleas to renegotiate the debt servicing plan. And so, if clinched, it means that there will be some sort of relief. But does that immediately translate into economic recovery? Let's wait and see.
Debt restructuring agreement has been the talk of many Zambians since it was announced early this year. But what is it really? To add a bit of background, let's take you back to the year 2005, a very symbolic year for Zambia's economy, as in that year the country reduced its debt significantly and was reclassified by the World Bank to lower middle income country, a state of affairs that ushered in 5 years of GDP growth, a sound fiscal policy, and a generally stable macro economy.
And the interest that we are going to be paying will be dependent on the performance of the economy. If the performance of the economy is going to be high, then what is going to happen is that the tenure automatically be reduced, and of course we'll pay more and finish our debt payments earlier.
I live in Zambia. Of course, we call on Kaloba.
I live in Zambia. Of course, Kaloba Tabakongwe Shomnove. And speaking of Kaloba, Zambia is in so much debt.
I live in Zambia. Of course, people are discussing debt restructuring a lot.
I live in Zambia. Of course, I'm even wondering what debt restructuring is.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
The judges proceeded to read the X articles and gave the following feedback.
I don't think it's possible when you talk about Zambia's debt restructuring for you not to talk about the G20 Common Framework. Did you come across that?
Yes, we did.
What is the G20 Common Framework?
well, I found it, but I didn't really, I'll be honest, I didn't really focus on researching about the G20 framework. I understand that the G20 is a group of countries that have formed the G20, and so in the G20 framework, they've been able to outline some of the ways in which the highly indebted countries can be able to offset their debt. But when I was talking to Dr. Habazoka, he mentioned that, but there were some pieces that we had to take up because it took very, very, very long.
No, but you're the researcher, and this is what I'm saying. You can't just get content and read it out. The whole trick about the assignments that we give you and the job that we do every day is you go and research, cite, and attribute to your sources, but you need to own the pieces as a reporter. You need to own them. So in your TikTok, in your X piece, you do refer to the IMF director saying something about why Zambia is the best and things like that. Why is the IMF and the World Bank pushing this agenda? There's a line there to say Zambia is the best case or something. I just can't remember. They were talking about the G20 framework. Why? Because after COVID and after default, Zambia is the first country actually in the world to go on this debt restructuring program called the G20 framework. Yeah. Yes, we know what the G20 is, but Zambia is a test, it's a case study on whether this may work or not. So the figures for me in terms of the total debt were incorrect, and I think in all your pieces this should have been a starting point to say how much are we owing, how much does the debt restructuring translate to. You're talking about 6.3 billion. In one of the stories you've spoken about 3 billion because there's 3 billion of the bondholders. Yes. And you could see me talking to Jonah because, for example, one of the bonds, the $750 million bonds, has been extended to a period where we'll now have to pay $75 million annually for a period, I think, of 10 years.
The biggest takeaway here is always have your research on lock. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why 3 contestants here and the other 12 are finding themselves in the hot seat to account for the information they are presenting to the judges. Suzanne and Penelope are coming in next, and Jonah will take up the rest of these reviews and ultimately the elimination.
I feel me and my teammate did pretty good, considering the fact that the topic that we're given was very sensitive. It's something ongoing, it's present, and obviously it is very sensitive to the citizens of Zambia. So I feel like the effort that me and my teammate did put into this task was good. The teamwork was great. I feel like I put in my best personally, and my teammate did put in her best as well. So I feel it's something that is worth listening to. All pieces are worth listening to and watching.
After their introduction, Suzanne and Penelope have this to show.
From 4 hours to 8 hours, 12 hours, and now 15 hours. This is Zambia's current energy crisis. Welcome to the chat room. My name is Suzanne Banda.
And I am Penelope Jindolo.
Today on the chat room, we discuss Zambia's current energy crisis. As you may be aware, Zambia, just like some other African countries like South Africa and Zimbabwe, is currently experiences a crisis in energy. Now, when we speak of energy crisis, this is a situation in which the demand for energy exceeds the available supply in the country. And speaking of the availability of energy in our country, Penelope, it's such a sad thing to witness what is going on in Zambia right now with regards to the insufficiency of electricity.
Indeed, Susan, it is quite a sad thing to witness. And one of the reasons as to why Zambia is currently experiencing energy crisis is because of climate change. Zambia, like many other countries, faces significant socio-economic challenges, including current load shedding and prolonged droughts. These issues profoundly affect daily life, economic productivity, and overall well-being of a Zambian citizen. Despite these adversities, Zambian citizens can still exhibit remarkable resilience and innovation.
12 hours of load shedding and people blaming it on the government. Did you know that last season's rainfall patterns led to droughts? And droughts led to low water levels in dams as well as reservoirs. And because Zambia is highly dependent on hydroelectricity, well, that means low water levels for us low power generation, and unfortunately for us, load shedding. Overpopulation, rapid growth in Zambia's population. Obviously, the government would need to stretch out its electricity supply so that it can accommodate every citizen around the country.
This is feedback from the judges after reading the X articles.
What do you think about the presentations?
I think the presentations to start with were not that good. We did come across a lot of information concerning the topic that we had, which is Zambia's current energy crisis, and considering that it was just the two of us, I feel we also tried to do our best in bringing all the information that we gathered together. But my overall comment on the 4 presentation, I would say they were not that good.
All right, thank you. We meet at the elimination.
Okay.
So working with Akim has been pretty interesting. It has not been easy. There are times that it turns out to be kind of selfish. You'll be like, okay, let's start with mine first. And then now when it's your time to do your assignment, he's like, but there's this other thing remaining that you're supposed to do, the both of you. But generally, he's a very good gentleman, and I've learned a lot from him. GPS is interesting, sure.
So we sat together, we had a research on how this system is done in South Africa. And then for TV, Lehman had to take us through. And then I had to take it through for Facebook. And then for TikTok, he had to take it through. And then for X, we had a thread on it. Yeah.
Okay, let's watch.
Thank you for joining me on The Detail. And today's topic of discussion is very much educative. We are going to be talking about how the Parliament of South Africa is being formed and how a president is being elected in South Africa. First and foremost, South Africa is a country that uses the proportional representation system. So proportional representation system is whereas voters do not vote for individual candidates, but they vote for political parties. So if we look at South Africa and Zambia and other neighboring countries in Africa, it's kind of different because other countries in Africa, they vote for individual candidates.
Have you wondered how a set of rules is determined by casting votes and translation? Or rather how power is invested into a president of a certain political party in a country like South Africa? Well, join me on this segment as I run you through South Africa's electoral process. But you too are free to join this interaction in the comment section here on our Facebook page, #DiamondTV, #South African Election.
The National Assembly has got 400 seats. These 400 seats are then divided or split up into 2 parts. 200 seats coming from the national party list and the other 200 coming from the provincial list. This ensures that both the national and regional interests are well represented in the National Assembly. Now, did you know South Africa held its first democratic election in 1994? Nelson Mandela was elected as the first black South African president. Now, that's a significant moment in history that the Rainbow Nation will never forget because it marks the end of apartheid.
The moment we had our preview session, I was expecting to see Mr. Costa Mwanza and Jonah in the preview room. And then, we see Mr. Jonah in the preview room. I was a little bit nervous because Jonah is very, very good when it comes to current affairs, and he's the one that gave us the task. And I knew that Jonah would be there to just fire us out with the questions. So I was like, Well, I wish Mr. Costa was there because I really wanted to get some feedback from him, either being negative or positive, but I wanted his feedback. Anyway, he's CVO, but there's just a certain way on how he just brings out information based on what you have done. Because I knew you're not be like, so based on what you have done, what is this ABCD, ABCD? So I really wanted to see Mr. Costa in the preview room, to be honest.
To hell with this. It's done by AI.
No.
So this is the first bit?
Yeah, that's the first one. Like we came up with a thread, had to type it, and then we're supposed to post it on Lehman's account, and then we're told to send the threads to George.
Some of the lessons that I've learned while here are to be conscious all the time, active, because there was no time for us to waste time here. Each and every time we were busy doing something, and if you're not busy doing anything, it meant you not being able to execute your job. And for the fact that here they are not looking for anybody that's lazy, I learned that I have to be sharp at work all the time and be ready for the task ahead without giving any excuses, without compromise.
Welcome to the Diamond TV News Rundown. My name is Miriam Semakata, and today our focus is on the sad and unexpected death of the late Vice President of Malawi, Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima, who was born on the 12th of February 1973 and died on the 10th of June 2024 after the plane he boarded crashed in the forest of Chikagawa after missing for a while.
It's a story that brings a lot of questions, especially to the local patriots of that country, looking at the fact that this man was very popular among the young people, something named as a special connection that he possessed. A very convincing demeanor. He was fashionable in his dressing. He's actually quoted as a very magnetic figure among the young people.
Joining us to give an insight to the current state of affairs in Malawi are two journalists, Ms. Mbao Sibongile Chavula and Robert Edwards. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. To start off, what role did the Human Rights Defenders Coalition play in the formation of the political alliance, and did the alliance meet the expectations set by the HRDC?
Now, talking about the Human Rights Defenders Coalition, HRDC.
This has been the news rundown with me, Mike Sakala, as well as
Miriam Semakata right here.
And I'm Emmanuel Mambwe. From us, it's bye for now.
It's bye for now until tomorrow.
Lousy piece, huh? Honestly speaking, guys, what did you think, Mira?
It wasn't something that we can entirely be proud of.
Are you even a bit proud of it?
Well, I'm proud of the fact that we engaged people to give outside to give us more insight on the country. At least we didn't do it on our own.
That's good, but I don't think that that means anything if the execution is bad, isn't it? Because what's the value of, if anything, you probably have wasted those people's time. That you piece it together so badly. You have a video wall behind you that is off and it's just black. You have people talking on phone and on video. One is standing in the middle of nowhere. The other is joining via call. They barely make coherent statements because you keep cutting them at very awkward points.
After the break, someone's going home. Don't go anywhere. In the previous episode, the contestants did dodge a bullet, but now the Grim Reaper is back. 4 contestants will be eliminated today. Each contestant better pray it isn't them.
Contestants, welcome back to the rooftop for elimination. Today, 4 of you are being eliminated from the Diamond TV presenter search, and this is on the basis of your performance in the last task. We divided you into teams, and these were 5 teams. Each one of you had a current affairs topic that you needed to research on and present on. And I'll call out the following names, and these are the people that must step forward because you are up for elimination. Miriam, please come forward.
We knew the next elimination was going to be very, very rough and hot because
like he had said earlier, he said it's like we went in there like we had formed some sort of alliance to say we're gonna stick together. Are you guys, we've created bonds, so we wouldn't want anyone to go. We kind of forgot exactly what we came here for, which was a competition. So there was that thing where, you know, like you've become friends with people, and even if they didn't do like a very great job in your various teams, like you don't want to throw them under the bus and say, okay, that was the weak link. And that was our mistake. We forgot to say this was actually a competition. And that's why today's elimination was fire. It was just, it was really, really hot, volcano hot. But yeah, it was rough.
Contestants, those of you that are here are up for elimination, and those at the back, you're safe for this week. I'll start with you, Suzanne. You were paired with Penelope.
Yes.
I wasn't given enough room to express myself the way I could. I mean, other people were given chance to say what they could have done best or defend themselves, but I wasn't given that chance. I've never been given that chance from the time the competition started. So I really thought it was very unfair and very inconsiderate to say.
What we're looking for is a person that's going to bring something different to the table. Because what you're presenting to us, we already have. What you are presenting as ideas, we've already seen. So why should we add what we already have? Nelton, a very interesting team that you were on.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened in your team was Lehman giving us wrong information, but you guys also rallying along that wrong information.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I send you packing today?
You shouldn't send me packing today because over the course of this DPS, I've shown my commitment, I've shown my hard work, and also done my part with the responsibilities given to me, either as producer, director, researcher, and scriptwriter. I have always put in the 100.
If it isn't you who's going from your team, then who should it be?
If it isn't me from my team going, then it should be Akim.
Why is that?
I personally feel Akim was too selfish, seeing that during the time of post-production, he spent so much time on his part, knowing that Liman and I were not already done. He spent so much time on his part, and he was also pestering us in the way, saying, okay guys, let's do this, let's do that. Even when he knew to say our parts weren't edited, weren't even shot. So he spent so much time on his part and also pestering us to do other things whilst we were not complete with our tasks.
One of the tasks that you were given in this challenge was teamwork. In fact, this entire splitting of the groups was born of the teamwork task.
Yes, sir.
Akim, why did you fail to work with your team?
I wouldn't say I was selfish. What happened the time we started researching on this information, we sat as a team and researched on the information. After that, we decided on which person is going to take part on each platform. From there, we started with my part.
Well, I don't want to hear all that. What about what he just said?
During the editing process, I was the first person to sit with George in the editing room. When we started the editing process, George was called out for a meeting. That's why I took time sitting on that chair with George, because he came back to the editing room late. From there, he was trying to work on two things. That's production for Diamond TV and as well as DPS.
Were you pestering your contestants, and did you spend the most time working on your stuff, knowing that they had not started their edit?
I worked with my staff, and I also worked with Lehman, and working with him, I even brought in some ideas, saying that the content he was bringing out was for TikTok. I was trying to just help him out to put out the content in a way whereby people will be able to watch and get attention, because that was TikTok. But it seemed like they wanted to do what they wanted. Like, everyone has some creative aspect, but...
So you wanted them to do what you want?
No, I was just bringing in some ideas so that we can work on both aspects. What he wanted and what I wanted.
What do you think? You were part of this team.
So to say, on my side, I feel I was also kind of squeezed in the corner, in the sense that before my shoot was done, and whilst Akin's shoot was already edited, then he was calling like me and Nelton before our shoot to say, let's do the thread, and whilst we've not yet shot.
So do you think that he was selfish?
I feel so.
Your teammates think you were selfish. Well, the last thing I need on my team is a selfish team member. So they're lying.
So we're at the rooftop, and then it's time for elimination. And then Jonah calls out people on the elimination block. From Nelton, who was one of the team members in our team, and he says, I'm selfish. Guys, I can't be selfish. I didn't see that coming because we were working as a team, and I think the only point where Nelton would say I was selfish is the point I was working with the editors. I was the first person to work with the editors, and the editors were a little bit busy because they were handling work for the production house as well as for the DPS production. So it hasn't affected me in any way because at the end of the day, this is a competition. So every person will just try out to bring out something negative about the other person just to make it to the next round. So I was not really affected, but I had to understand his situation because the time we were doing his shoot, it was late in the evening. He had to redo it. He did the first shoot in the afternoon and we did the other shoot in the evening. I was there. I helped him out with everything. I was behind the cameras. I was director. And I didn't see where the selfish aspect came from.
Bukata, have you ever heard the word plagiarism?
No, sir.
Well, that word means accrediting someone else's work and making it look like it's your own. Why do you think I'm talking about this right now?
Because of my article.
What about it?
Because I got something from somebody else without citing the sources.
Yes, you did. As if that is not enough, your presentation alongside Mark and who else? Blessing was a radio show where you drafted a script and started reading it in front of camera, and in not the best way it should be done. So why should you stay here?
I feel like I should stay because I am an asset. I knew my lines and I knew exactly what I was talking about in that presentation, but it was my fault, which I take fully responsibility, to be lazy and read from there. And I'm not going to be lazy again, and I promise that if you keep me in this competition, I will give you my best. And that's all you're going to receive. And as for the article, I tried to make it as interesting as possible, and that was a very deadly mistake for not citing the sources. And I promise you that I have learned, and this will never repeat itself.
Penelope, you're the other half of the team that was working on load shedding.
Yes.
And I have to say, one of the easiest topics in this week's challenge was load shedding. There's an abundance of information. That's first of all. The second thing is, this is nothing alien to you.
Yes.
Every one of us here has experienced the rationing of electricity.
Yes.
With all this information at the tip of your hands, why bring subpar content for Diamond Media?
To start with, load shedding was more like a subtopic because the main one was energy crisis. Of course, in the same line. So, and we were asked to consider why it's happening and how best we can work it out. So it wasn't mainly about load shedding, and I think in our presentation we made sure to give reasons as to why it is happening. Like we mentioned about aging buildings, the climate change, to mention but a few. We also went right ahead to mention the effects the country is facing
we also gave out solutions. So considering time and the fact that we did it, the two of us, I think time was quite limited, but that won't be an excuse. But we did make sure to touch all parts of the question that you assigned to us as Group 5. And we were just the two of us. It was only two heads doing research.
That is not an excuse.
No,
and
it's
don't
not.
use that. This is the second time you're saying that. You said that in the presentation room and you're saying it here.
I'm
you,
sorry,
You don't
Sam.
need 1 billion heads for you to understand load shedding.
Of course. But we as a team made sure we explained, like you said, what is energy crisis. We did explain it in our presentation. We also made sure we explained the effects. We also touched on the solutions like we did in the presentation. In our voiceover, we did that. On our TikTok, we were very creative about it. And in our article also, we considered every part of the question that you gave to us, sir.
Blessings. You belong to this team of Mark and Wukata. And I have to tell you, one of the worst things I have watched was what you guys worked on. You were lazy. All three of you were incredibly lazy. You just sat down. I don't know what you were thinking. You just sat down and presented to us what you had written on a piece of, what somebody else had written on a piece of paper, and you copied and pasted and came to read to us. Did you think we wouldn't know?
No, that wasn't the case. We did have a hard time compiling information because we weren't so knowledgeable on how best to do research and compile the correct kind of information and how to best present our work.
Whose responsibility was it to be knowledgeable and understand what you're about to present?
It was ours, but I think we had a bit of challenge in making sure that we found the right sources, which proved to be very wrong because we went to the wrong kind of sources and sites as well, and we compiled the wrong kind of information.
Sounds like you failed to do your job.
In compiling the correct information, yes, we did.
This is the end of the road for you. Thank you very much. Miriam.
Yes, sir.
You were working on the Malawian election.
Malawian Vice President.
The Malawian Vice President, that is correct, not the Malawian election. How do you think you performed? Let's start with the TV piece.
Apparently, sir, you did not give me personally feedback, but I felt like I did lay out the information in regards to the oversight of his death. I did answer the what, the W questions and the H questions of where it happened, what happened, how did it happen, and well, I think I answered that part of the question that you gave to us as the opening presenter.
As one of the things that you had to do was work as a team and produce a good product as a team. Did you?
Unfortunately, we did not. That is all entirely and partly our fault because, I'm saying unfortunately we did not because we had inadequate of editors. We had some backdrops that we wanted to put behind the screen to show the Malawian president and the plane crash and other stuff, but then we did not have enough editors. We did not have enough editors to help us out. So we just went like that. But in my presentation personally, I had all those backdrops and everything. I presented my information concisely but to the point. I had some illustrations, I had the overview and what the future holds and some perspectives from the people within Malawi.
Emmanuel, you were a teammate with Miriam. Why did you present to us such a subpar product?
I think we presented a subpar product because of our inexperience. But at the end of the day, since one of the tasks was teamwork, we did our best to bring our ideas together and present to you what we thought would be able to express that teamwork. It was subpar because we faced a lot of constraints behind the camera when it came to the editors and them being overwhelmed with putting the things that we wanted the way we wanted. But at the end of the day, as a team, we strove forward to still bring something to the table, even with all those constraints. We did not give up.
Akim, please step forward. I take teamwork very seriously. And this competition gives me a decent taste of the type of people I'll be working with. I hate people who make excuses. I can't work with people who make excuses. I hate indecisiveness, but also I don't want team members who want to shine above everybody else. If that's what you're bringing to the table, then you're not bringing anything to this table. So why shouldn't I eliminate you today?
I'll be able to work with others and just get what others are going to say and the ideas they're going to bring in on the table and produce very perfect and creative content. As well as I'll put in my best if I was to be given a chance. If I was to be given a chance to be in this competition, I'll put in my best and be able to work with others and just bring up the teamwork.
So why didn't you do it at the start?
I think I did that because the time the information was put in the group, the researched information and how we allocated tasks to each other. I would say maybe they are saying I was selfish the time we were editing. I think that's the only part I took, I would say, the time with George. But when it comes to Lehman's work, I was there with him in the production room, working with him, trying to bring in ideas, and he was also saying, okay, let's do this. I was there. When it came to editing, I was there for Lehman. We looked for the videos, the pictures that were supposed to be put in his shoot. I was there with George, sitting with him, giving each other ideas on the same thing. When it comes to, what's his name? Nelton's work for the TikTok, I was there behind the cameras, working with him behind the cameras in the other room, trying to bring out the content. He brought in his ideas. I was also there to bring out his idea, the ideas that were supposed to be put in the content.
What do you think I should eliminate from your team?
I think Nelton should, because when it came to teamwork, when I bring out an idea or when Lehman brings in an idea, he would say, even when it comes to the script, I would say script, he was responsible for the script writing. When you tell him to work on it, especially on the time, location, the ones you told us, he would say, you can also do it. Those are the responses he was giving.
Is that true? He's saying the script part that he's talking about, even Lehman can attest to this. He was telling me to work on the script, whilst I already told him to say, we'll work on the script later, but please, let us do our shoot and edit, but the script will be worked on. So for right now, let's first work on whatever is here. The script will be worked on. And everybody on my team can say the script was done. At that particular time, at 23, it was done. He even knows it was done.
Nelton, have you and Lehman made some sort of alliance against Akim?
Sorry?
Have you and Lehman made some sort of alliance against Akim?
No. I haven't made any alliance against Akim. I'm just saying the facts, the way they are.
What was your experience with working with the both of them?
Sorry?
What was your experience working with the both of them?
Lehman was, I would say Lehman was the laid back one. Even though he had things to say, he never wanted to say them. And then Akim, in as much as he was there, because we chose him as the team lead, it's just the peace-stirring part, and also him taking time. He's saying George was working for other projects for Diamond TV, but I think even everybody here who was on that computer can say Akim took time. It really took time for him. I'm just saying things as they are and as they happen.
Lehman, while you're sitting at the back, standing at the back there, you are the one that had the misinformation in this piece, in your piece. You are the misinformation about how a coalition government is formed in South Africa. That explains the issue of you being laid back, doesn't it?
Yes, I totally agree on that one. I missed it somewhere with my research based on the coalition government.
I agree with you. Emmanuel, you're safe. Lehman, come forward. Mark, you have a lot of experience in media. You've worked here before. But what you presented with your two colleagues
was way below par. And that says a lot about your versatility. Why should you remain in this competition that is so diverse and you and your teammates failed to deliver on that assignment?
When it comes to the assignment, in as much as you say we were lazy, we were not lazy. I feel like we spent a lot of time researching, because it wasn't just a copy and paste job. We compiled information from different sources, but we wasted too much time on researching and practicing how we were gonna present what we had researched. And when it came time to shoot, we didn't have enough time, so we resorted to the teleprompter, not knowing that that's a big mistake. Well, when it comes to where I should stay, I feel like when it comes to entertainment, I stand out and I'm super creative and innovative. And in as much as I may lack in the current affairs department, I will do my best to learn how to be competent in that area as well.
Penelope, Vukata, Suzanne, this is the end of the road for you on the Diamond TV Presenter Search Season 5.
So who am I going to miss the most, and who do I think is going to win this? I have got more than one person on my mind. So that's Matakala, there is Taona, and there is Mike. So I feel like these people are really great presenters, and they are diamonds on their own. Different in their presentations, but they all come out strong. I'm going to miss them so much because we created a bond. Yes, so my money is on these three people.
Contestants, your assignment this week. I will first divide you into two teams. And as you have already positioned yourselves, the team in front against the team at the back. Each team must create a 15-minute documentary on a pressing or compelling topic chosen by yourselves. As may be known, many people are not so keen to watch documentaries in Zambia. The objective of this episode is to strategically place a 15-minute documentary in this Diamond TV Presenter Search episode. This must be on a pressing topic that must raise awareness and also enlighten citizens on some of the country's biggest challenges. In that episode, you must evoke some kind of emotion and ultimately some action from the community. Is this clear? All the best and tough luck.